All right. We got Mary and Mike Kehl coming in here with the spending their inheritance. Guys, hey, it's good to be here.
Hey,
I'm glad I could finally make it up to the shop. Well, tell us a little bit about where we just were.
Oh, yeah. Well, we came home from Langford. Over the weekend, we had 2 hooks down there, NTPA sessions, and Langford, if a lot of people don't know, is kind of, we call it the little Bowling Green of this side of the country. They got a really good venue up there, and it's got a lot of history. So we went up there and ran twice, and just got back from a second and a third finish up there, which we were pretty happy in front of our hometown crowd. You know, we're not used to pulling this local anymore. It was only about 45 minutes from home, so we were pretty happy to go there and come back. But
you made the comment, it feels good to kind of be this close to home and actually make a little bit of money pulling.
Yeah.
You know, but most of the time we're going on the road, we're not really thinking about it. We're just traveling.
Not at all.
Just enjoying it as a hobby.
Yeah.
But here, you actually make a little bit of money.
Yeah, because we run about 14,000 miles or better a year, not counting flying back and forth to Florida. So that was nice.
Well, let's go over the tractor a little bit. Tell me from start to finish, what are we looking at here? A lot of folks don't understand what this is.
We chose to run, we're running the 575 cubic inch hemi based engine. The block is a Brad Anderson block. This year we went to the Brad Anderson heads for a little more flow, volume. So up top we're running a Mike Janis supercharger, and we were making a lot of wind with that. And it's fully injected. We just upgraded pumps this year, our whole fuel system. We put a lot into it this year.
And you're thinking you're somewhere around, what?
3,400 horse-ish.
Okay.
We run about 8-9 gallon of fuel through this. Is our fuel tank a run. On the other side is our oil. We run about 18 to 20 quarts of oil in the system. It is a dry sump. In back, we're running, from the back of the crankshaft of the engine, we're running a 3-disc clutch in the back, which comes out to our SES gearbox and drivetrain to the back. And we're in the back of the machine. 2 years ago, we made the switch from the rear end we were using before to a modern planetary type of rear end. We were having a lot of issues with the older style rear ends that everybody's been running for years. They're just not handling the horsepower, you know. So we made the switch to that, and knock on wood, it's been flawless. That's been working good.
Excellent, excellent. You all mind if we sit down and talk a little bit?
No, yeah, have it. I got time.
All right. So we've talked about a little bit about the specs of the tractor. Hey, tell me a little bit about the name, the color, the scheme of the tractor, and what it means spending their inheritance.
Well, we went to Bowling Green. I'm thinking it was our very first time out there. It must be close to 20 years ago. We had never seen a mini rod on the track before because they don't run them in New York. We see the class. We fell in love with the class. We looked at each other's stands and said, you know what? Be cool to do this someday.
Huh. And
someday came along when the Buckeye Special was for sale. He was upgrading to the planetary rear end. And he said, I've only had this. He was selling a rolling chassis. Only been run for a couple of years. It's in good shape and this and that. And we ended up making the deal and came home with a rolling chassis. We bought a motor from Joe Ader. And between Joe and our good friend Irv Clark, they helped it to become an actual tractor. And the name, we kind of sat around, him and I, spitballing ideas. And he came up with a little, like a doodle that was the tractor with the wheels up, sucking the money out of the bank and blowing the dollars off the back tires and the kids chasing after it. And we wanted to use little Dr. Seuss kids because we thought they were cute, you know, and the little kids chasing after it. That was our idea. So when we talked to the guys that actually did the design for us and everything, they're like, no, they're copyrighted, can't use those, but we'll come up with something for you. So we have a girl in pink, that's our daughter, Jessie. We have the boy in blue, is our son, Ryan, who's also our crew chief. And they're chasing after the dollars. So not too long after that, we ended up with our first granddaughter, Paige. So we had to get a little sticker, get Paige on there, and then granddaughter number 2, Reagan, she's got a sticker on there. Then granddaughter Lily, she has a sticker on there, and now we have another granddaughter, Lila. She's only about a month old, so she doesn't have a sticker yet, but stay tuned, we're going to have a Lila too.
It's coming.
Right.
So it is a family thing, and we got to get and the spending their inheritance. So you spend a lifetime saving money, working hard, do what you need to do, and save up for your retirement. Time to enjoy, time to do what you like to do. And so we truly are spending their inheritance, because our plan is it's probably going to take everything we saved up our whole lives to do this, but we love it, and Ryan and our daughter Jessie loves it too. So they were all wholeheartedly behind us saying, oh yeah, go spend our inheritance, we can take care of ourselves, have a blast out there, we support you. So it's been, you know, it's been great.
That's amazing of the kids, you know what I mean, to say, you know what, I want you to enjoy this.
Yeah.
You know, I really do want you to really enjoy this. And but there are not that many white chassis in the polling world.
There are not.
And this one with the color, it really does pop.
Yes, yes. The Buckeye Special is about the only other white chassis that I know of. And so, of course, when we bought his rolling chassis, it was white. And we looked at each other and said, we didn't know at the time how difficult it is to keep the white clean, but we didn't care. So we said we're going to stick with white because we really feel that it sticks out more. Everybody else has got the darker colors. So we want to be a little bit different and stick with that. Now, the young man that did the design for us was a friend of our son-in-law's, graphic designer, but he wasn't, you know, he was in beer sales at that point. But he could do the design and do it in a manner that it could get transferred to the actual wrap. And so he took Mike's doodle and he came up with what we have. And it was kind of cool because if you pay someone to do this for you, then they own the copyright, then you have to buy it off of them. He did it out of the goodness of his heart. And we gave him, you know, what we thought it was worth, and he was like, oh my goodness, no, you know, $50. And we're like, no, you don't understand, this is just what we wanted. And the guy had never seen a mini rod in his life. So we sent him pictures of mini rods and sent him our idea, and he came up with this design. And
amazing.
He did a wonderful job.
Very, very, very good. Tell me a little bit about your polling accomplishments. What are some of the moments that you remember the most, and what they mean to you?
Well, I think the beginning was a little rough. We started out with Mike was going to drive the first season, figure out how everything works, figure out how to dial everything, and then I was going to drive second season. And when we got to our first hook, anybody that knows about mini rods understands that a smaller person in the seat is more beneficial for weight on the front. So in going across the scale, we kind of reassessed the idea, and I ended up driving. But really, it works better that way because he's got so much else to do, and he really couldn't do it while he's strapped in getting ready to make a run. I mean, you got to get the thing started. You got to make sure everything's all dialed in for the run. There's last-minute adjustments that need to be made that are difficult to make when you're driving. Some drivers do it, but it's an added level of stress when you're on the line. So
you tell them about the chasing the first year.
Oh, well, the first year we kind of took off at a bit of a slow pace, but you know, we'd have good runs, and and it was like, just let me get to 250, and then it was let me get to 300, and you know, as time goes on and you learn through experience, that we went to Pine Tops in 2019. We went to Pine Tops in 2019 and we ended up with a sweep. First place both days. And that was like the top of the pile for us. It was like we finally see what we're really trying to accomplish. So, you know, and you have ups and downs, and this year we've started out pretty well. Fourths and thirds and seconds.
Yeah, second, thirds, and fourths. And waiting for the first national win. But.
Yep. No first yet, but we're going to get it before the end of the season.
Mike, you missed the idea of pulling it?
No, you know, at first I did, but after we got going, it was so much easier to just focus on her being in the seat. Rather than, I mean, there's a little size difference between the two of us. I know it's hard to notice, but you know, so setting it up for me, setting it up for her, it's going to be just
darn near impossible.
So it was nice once we finally honed down her.
Yeah.
You know, and then we got her in the seat, and it's like, look, this is the direction we're going to go. Then when we changed chassis, we went and built this one for her. Billy Ewing out in Ohio built this chassis just for her, and it's hard for most other people to get in. So it was just much easier. Once a year, my son, our crew chief, runs it out to Bowling Green, and we have to change a lot of things.
Right.
So this way, you can kind of just hone in on her, and she's done really.
Makes the setup easier.
Well, the crowd tends to get behind females
Yes.
who pull a lot more than the guys, and I don't know but announcers play that up too.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
So tell me a little bit about what it feels like to pull this thing.
It's a rush, really. I mean, it feels like there's power there, and you know, it's a short amount of time from one end of the track to the other. You don't have a lot of time to think about too much of anything. You know, just got to focus on staying straight and, you know, a few little details, but you don't have time to think about a lot. But it's just a total rush when you take off. It's just like, you know, zoom.
And you watched so many other classes before making this decision. But the mini rod, the power to weight ratio, just happened to be the thing that drew you into that class.
Yeah.
And a lot of fantastic pullers out there. The competition's stiff. You could be facing guys and gals from all over the country.
Yes.
That show up at Bowling Green. You know, it could be a lot of them. So the competition is stiff, and I think you've added to that. So it must make you feel good that you're now part of the mix.
Yes.
You're in the running to be the odds-on favorite when you go to some of these places. Does that feel good that, you know,
it does.
The crowds are now coming around?
Yes. Yes, and it takes a couple years to even figure out what you're doing. I mean, there's no handbook for this. It's all trial and error, and you don't have a lot of. Everybody's got their own secrets, and they keep them pretty, you know, because there's not much. There's only minute details that can separate us in a class. If the track goes away, then it's an advantage to be in the beginning of the class. And if the track comes on at the end, you might have had a great hook, but now all of a sudden the tracks come on at the end. I had one, I think it was my first 300-foot run. And I was so excited, but I was early in the class, and I just built the road, and everybody else kept going by me. You know, so it was like 301 and 305, and, you know, that happens too. It's just the luck of the draw.
Well, it is the luck of the draw. A lot of tractor pulling is luck.
Yes.
But one thing that we noticed, and we were talking about last night a little bit, is how pullers want to help each other to make sure that they're beating them on the track, and not because they're broken or they don't have the extra part that they need.
The tractor pulling world is awesome. I've raced cars, motorcycles, snowmobile. You know, nothing like the tractor pull world. Everybody is fierce competitors, but boy, if somebody's busted or just skipping on the track or has difficulties, everybody's crew members run up.
Yep.
And they help. We help each other out. I mean, in the pits, people are, hey, Mike, you got this, or hey, Bill, you got this, and
well, we call it a pulling family, and it really is.
It's an extension of that family, even the immediate family.
We all play together, we eat together, we drink together, we pull together, and it's just everybody's one big happy family.
Yep.
Like I say, on the track, it's fierce as hell.
Last night, you know, David Lacey needed a part, and a guy with a mod, Todd Feiss. I have one of those.
Yep.
He went running over to his trailer to get it for him, and Dave put it right on there at the starting line. Unfortunately, they were rushed, and it wasn't the total fix.
Sure.
He ended up scratching, but I was sitting in the stands at that point to watch the rest of my class, and there was some gentlemen behind me, and they said, "Isn't that your team over there helping that guy?" I said, "Yeah." I said, we all help each other. We all want to be each other on the track, not anywhere else. We all want to make it to the track.
We want them on the track to compete with.
We want to put on the show. We want to get everybody there. We want to get everybody to have a chance to run.
Excellent. Well, you know, it's eye-opening because a lot of the public, you know, they don't get the behind-the-scenes look.
Right.
Yeah. So thanks for explaining a little bit about the tractor, a little bit about you, and a little bit about where they can find all this merch and support the cause, and a little bit more about the Spending the Inheritance team.
Yeah.
Well, it's our team. I mean, obviously, I got a really great, beautiful driver behind the wheel. But
thank you.
It can't happen without our crew. And let me tell you, I would like to talk about the crew a little bit.
Please do.
We are really blessed, and as Mary said, we have learned a hell of a lot over the last 4 or 5 years. It started out with our good friend Joey Ader, and Herb Clark was very instrumental helping us out.
Both near local New York.
Yes, they're both in New York.
He's pulled two-wheelers for a long time. Joe, obviously, he's pulled mods, and they just a wealth of knowledge between them guys. And along with like our motor builders and stuff, Jansen, Brian Knox, these guys were really instrumental. They're always there to help us and field my stupid phone calls all the time. And I'm on the way home today. Joe Eder called me and said, hey, talked over last night's run. He's always there to try to help us get better. But the crew is, my son Ryan brings a lot to the table as far as electronics and everything, keeping this thing going. Primarily, I keep the motor going.
And they do all the rest.
And them guys, Ryan, and we call him number one. We got a kind of number 1, 2, 3, 4 scheme in our system, but he's our number one guy. And number 2, Billy Swires, he came on board to be a tire specialist and grinder, and I taught him how I knew how to grind tires, and he's done a really good job. And then since then, he just has dove into everything else and been a real good asset to the team. And our number 3, Joe Lawton, he's just Mr. Everything. He don't care. He just here to pitch in, and when we can or when they can, they'll go on the road with us when they can. And it's hard for them to get away. They all have families, but
families and jobs.
But them 3 guys are our core guys, and we got some other help. Roy Pettigrew comes with us, and he is our track reader. He's got probably 40 years of experience on him. We love it when he comes. We get some other helpers, a lot of people, but
Matt Martin.
Matt Martin, our Pocket Pit sponsor.
He's not only a sponsor; he's a team member.
Our friends in Ohio, Eric Bolin, come up this week and just drove up from Ohio to help us in the pits.
Oh, awesome!
And I mean, how good is that? But the core guys here in the shop are amazing. And when we have the luxury like this weekend to have our whole team with us,
sometimes we don't.
Yeah, you want to take them everywhere you go.
It's crazy,
Yeah, well, and everybody has. When you get up to the line, there's a million things you got to do. When we have Roy with us, we don't have to worry about setting the cone. He doesn't have to worry about setting the cone. Roy's already knows where he's going to put us because he's been watching.
He's telling you.
This is the
where
line.
I want you to go.
When you get up to the track, and talking to some of the older pullers, it makes you feel a little better because. When I get up to the track, so-and-so say, hey, did you see me in the stands? They were yelling.
We're just focused.
I am zoned. And then you're thinking about so much. And the more time that elapses, you think about too much. And then when it's just her and I, you got to do this and do that and do this and do that, and you forget something. We always the joke is we got a GoPro that we try to take the movies with, and you turn the GoPro.
But we always forget it because that's like the last thing.
So when we have the whole crew along,
you have to turn on the data logger.
Hanging with us at night, they're pretty colorful too.
Yeah,
fun to have.
Yeah.
It really does pop from a photographer, video person perspective. It really does pop, and it makes doing what we do a lot easier because you're photogenic, it's photogenic. And obviously the crew shirts, everybody walking around, it's really good for getting out there and wooing people.
Yeah. And we had no idea of any of that. We just decided we wanted a lighter kind of this almost happened by accident. We didn't realize it was going to be that photogenic and I think it was the first year the one guy came over and talked to us in the pits and the most photogenic. We were like, holy cow, we never thought of that.
That's a great compliment. Yeah,
it is. It's a great compliment.
It makes you feel like what you're doing actually really matters and impacts other people's lives.
Yeah, and like you say, we like to try to keep it shine, and there's always the old adage that the show don't make it go, but we try.
We still try to keep it clean and looking good.
A little dirty today from rolling back from Langford last night,
But we always invite people to come and visit us in the pits too, unless they're in the middle of grinding tires or working on the motor, or doing something really intricate that they don't have time to talk.
Sure.
People are always, come over and ask us questions, and we put the kids in the seat and take their picture, and they think that's the coolest thing in the world, and give them a hero card and sign it, and they think it's great. So we like to do that too.
The kids just.
They eat it up.
And a lot of people can't, you think of we were talking last night about the car shows and stuff. Don't touch. Well, I tell everybody and they laugh, but you ain't going to hurt it any worse than my driver does. Just be careful you don't hurt yourself getting them. But the little kids are they love it.
Yep,
and that's
they
what it's
love
all
it.
about. We're going to keep the sport going.
Absolutely. You don't get that in NASCAR.
All right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to drop some links and tell people how they can follow you guys, and then we're going to throw in some GoPro footage. We're going to throw in some of your best runs.
Oh, nice.
this video is gonna live on. Hopefully you pick up even more followers.
Good, that would be great. And the view from the seat, really, you got to see it. Everybody loves that. They always ask me about it. They always ask me about it, and it feels just like in that video. That's how it feels to me, because sometimes you sit there forever. You pump up the brakes and you sit there and wait, and it's like, can I have a green flag? And it probably is less than a couple of seconds, but it seems like forever waiting for that green flag so that you can go.
The anticipation, it's
is.
there. So, Mike, tell me a little bit about the sponsorship situation and what all it takes to put. There's a wonderful wrap on this thing, very photogenic. Tell me about how the sponsors and all that stuff, the wrap, and how that came to be.
The sponsors itself and the wrap, Jeremy Henn, of course, did the wrapping of it. He's very popular in the tractor pulling and the car racing world, does wonderful work. And he wrapped it, and we had another fellow that actually designed it for us, Jason Kremble, when we first started. But then when we first started, we went out looking for sponsors, and we were very fortunate to be in this end of the country up by our friends at Janssen with Mike Janis and his program up there. So our families have known each other for years, so when I approached Mike and them guys about helping me out with motors and blowers and so on, and they couldn't be a better bunch of people to help you with.
As far as sponsorship, you kind of have to work those relationships that you already know, correct, and build upon them? Yeah,
we've been building upon most of them. With Janssen, Mike Jansen's been there to help us with just a lot of little things in there, along with making a really awesome blower for us and power. I got them folks, and we have another sponsor that's Hybrid Building Solutions that they came looking for us. We knew them as a company through my work, and they actually come on to help us out a little bit.
Because of the mini rod.
They thought it was very exciting, and they wanted to get involved and be involved. Matter of fact, yesterday they were at Langford for the first pull they've ever witnessed. They were blown away.
They enjoyed it.
Really enjoyed it.
And it could have been a better event with the crowd and all that stuff.
They were so excited, and they're so glad to be a part of it. And we got down to another Matt Martin at Pockets Pits that does all our fabricating. He's a really good fabricator. He does powder coating and just whatever we break, he can fix.
Yep.
And he's been a really good asset to it. And we've had some other sponsors over the years that helped us get going and stuff that come and go. With other friends of ours that had a golf course that they jumped on board as sponsors, but they since sold. And so, of course, we're always looking for sponsors, And that's where I was going to.
Okay.
We picked up another one this year. We've always had T-shirts. People come out to the polls wanting T-shirts and memorabilia. And it's quite a challenge stocking T-shirts and hats and stuff in our trailer. And you've seen the inside of our trailer before. It's 50 foot long, but on poll day, it's never enough room. So Angry Duck approached me down in Ohio, and they are carrying a whole merchandising line for us this year with hats, and they're adding stuff every week.
T-shirts, sweatshirts.
Yeah, T-shirts and everything, hoodies, and they're growing it, and they're getting more popular in the pulling world. So we get a portion of that every time they sell something for us. So a lot of people come out to them and say, how can we help you? So we also did this year, we went to a new hero card, and we went to this guy right here, Mr. Will Whitt. And he designed our hero cards. I don't know how good y'all can see it, but I basically sent him a picture that David Wood took up in Wasion, I believe. Mm-hmm. And some other pictures, and he just flooded with good ideas. And we were kind of in a hurry because we let our stock get down before Langford and our hometown hook, and Mary and I are looking at each other going, So he was under the gun and just did a wonderful job. But on our cards this year, we do have our sponsors with Mike Giannis, Supercharger, Janssen, Hybrid, Angry Duck, of course. And on the back of all our cards, they have a QR code. And a lot of people are pretty mystified about that, but if we show them how easy it is, they just come out and scan it with their phone, takes you right to our site on there, and they can, right now he's running dollars off on shirts and stuff right now. So then that money goes directly to us for the portion of the shirt. So that was, in that respect, it was a very good business opportunity with them as for a sponsorship. But again, the pulling cars, Will, man, he did an awesome job.
I was glad to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I know you said it's a rush job. I have to have it by August, and we got it. But the QR code, all that technology, it's just a way to connect fans, even more so.
It is.
To you guys.
It is.
And for the fans at home, look, we understand after COVID, the quantities and colors and all that stuff, the variations, it's all limited. Yeah. So be patient, but still support them. And new stuff will come back as
and we're also out at events and on our toter, our support vehicle, and then even on the back of the wing of the tractor, we got the QR code on there, so they can come even if we're busy and they can just scan it. And I see one guy did that yesterday and while we were working, and so yeah, we're looking forward to that to grow too.
And I know you got a lot of publicity up in they were talking about in the sponsors area, the announcers area, about your sponsors. So that's kind of a cool thing because they were reading off your puller card, and giving shout outs to all your sponsors. Yeah. So when you sponsor a vehicle like that, you can get public notoriety, local notoriety, as well as national level notoriety.
And it amazes me, the public, every event we go out to, it amazes me how the public just shows up and they want to help. And sometimes you get a couple that might be a little bit down that we don't have a shirt for sale in the trailer, but it's helped us a lot instead of carrying $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 the shirts, and you get in halfway through the season, the right size shirt's gone. And so yeah, it's good, but we're looking forward to that. But yeah, but the one thing I do want to say, and but the announcers throughout the country, they do an amazing job. I mean, you've got Dan Mayer yesterday, Denver and Judy Getchy and Alex Washburn, and on and on. But they all do a wonderful job. And if you communicate with them, they'll usually stop by the pits. And a good announcer always stops by the pits and gets the scoop. And with us, it don't take much to give them scoops sometimes. But they know what's going on, and they communicate it to the public. And the stories that we kind of hear when we're on the track in the background sometimes make us chuckle, but they're very good about it, and we try to communicate stuff for them to keep everybody up to date too.
Well, excellent. Well, so in closing all this stuff, they can go to Angry Duck and buy your merch and all that good stuff and help out and grow the team even further.
Yeah, and we do encourage, and we sincerely appreciate it because as you can tell, it takes a lot of dollars to keep these going, and we're fortunate that we're in a position where we can do it, and but not without the help of the sponsors and stuff. But if they want to help out, just a little bit at a time, it really is appreciated.
It certainly was evident yesterday. Yes. The crowd was erupting when Mary ran. And
pretty humbling, actually.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to be, for us, that was our local hook. So we were the hometown kids. Because Joe Ader was pulling with the Grand Nationals in Illinois, so we were the hometown favorites, I guess you could say. Yeah,
we really were looking forward to that hook as well as all the other ones, but it was kind of special.
But you always want to win your hometown hook and represent it well, and you did that.
It was special kind of for me because when I was a kid, and I was telling a story to the promoters last night, that when I was a kid, and I got to say probably 8, 10 years old, we used to pull garden tractors back in the day when they had the stone boats. And I was talking to one of the old timers up there last night, and I just took him back 50 years. And so, it kind of holds a special place in our heart, but not to be taken away from anywhere we go, the support we get is just unbelievable. Yeah. It's very humbling, and we really appreciate it.
And you can follow them on their Facebook page.
And yes, we do. Thank you. We have
YouTube.
We have a YouTube channel now, so if you search Spending Their Inheritance, it'll come up. Facebook, please go and like and share our Facebook page. If you go to Spending Their Inheritance, it'll click right up on both YouTube and Facebook, and we're looking to grow into other markets as we can find time to do it.
I've got Mr. Producer back there saying that he's dedicated to the GoPros and making sure that those runs keep on coming. So the fans,
everybody loves them.
You're going to get a good behind the scenes view if you go to those pages and like their YouTube channel. You're going to get to see it. So.
Rikersville, New York.
piss out of that thing.
Thank you. That was
Hell of
better.
a drive!
That was better.
Hell of a drive!
Thank you.
You gave it time, waited. Ah!
Yep.
Nice driving.
Thank you.
That makes me stoked.
The hemi garden. Yeah, this is what we call the hemi garden. I got flower gardens all over the place. I get home from work one day, and we had this crank only has like 3 runs on it, and so Janice's magged it and said it's no good, it's cracked, you can't reuse this crank. And I'm like, oh my god, it's only got 3 runs on it. So let's make it into a stool. Nope, it's too heavy. This, that, can't do that, can't do this. I come home from work one day, and he's taking the crank, he's mounted it onto, I don't know, rods and things to be able to stand it up like that. We actually poured concrete in the ground in a little box so that we could put the rods in there and make it stand up. So we put the flower box on top. And then he got real, you know, fancy, and he made that with the rods and stuff. And I got my little homemade wind chimes over there with the pistons that were in pieces. And so we kind of had fun with it because we just couldn't swallow the fact that such
I love the hemi
pricey
garden.
parts.
But you
didn't
know
get
what? That
much
makes for a
use.
good garden.
Yeah.
It's one of the most expensive gardens I've ever seen.
Exactly. And then this he just put together, with extra pieces and parts we had, just another extra set of pipes, and he made up the rest on his own. He can be pretty handy with that stuff. He's a little bit artistic, but it's right within view of the STI shop. So this is why we put the hemi garden here.
All right, so this is the outside of the STI shop.
Yep.
And you got 2 sides. You kind of have
We
the
do.
recreational side,
Yep.
coming through the American flag. Now, tell me a little bit about this sign up here I see.
That was Mr. Matt Pockets Pits. Ryan talked to him and said, "Can you take this photo and do a nice sign for Mom and Dad for Christmas?" So that was Ryan's Christmas gift to us this past Christmas. And Matt Martin did it.
Very cool.
Yeah. He
Well,
does cool stuff.
it's amazing. All the stuff that they're back in here again.
Yep. This is where most of the tractor work happens.
Beth will.